Hello and welcome to the Culture Creature podcast. My name is Dan Redding. Today I am thrilled to bring you an interview with Joe Duplantier of the mighty Gojira. Gojira are a French heavy metal band who released their sixth album, Magma, in June. Vocalist and guitarist Joe Duplantier lives in New York City and recently built a studio here. I'm very excited about this interview. I'm a Gojira fan, and we had been working on arranging an interview for months. Then, a few weeks ago, I was told that I would get the chance to sit down with Joe before the band's performance at St. Vitus in Brooklyn on July 14th, which was last Thursday. On the evening of the show, I showed up at Vitus, and after the sound check, I was brought into the main venue area. Joe and I sat down on the stage in front of Mario's drums. The stage lighting made a dramatic setting for an interview. It was cool. During the interview, you will hear the crowd gathering in the bar behind us. Joe has done a ton of press for Magma lately, so my goal when I was writing questions was to write some questions that he has not been asked before. Many thanks to Gojira and their crew. Here's our interview. Thank you for listening.
Again, thank you
You're
for
welcome.
taking the time to talk. So my first question is, your Gojira sound is so big, and this room is fucking tiny. What special considerations do you have to make to adjust to this small room?
We don't adjust, you know. We just do whatever we usually do, and it's difficult to find. I think the perfect size for a show, for a metal show, would be like a 800 capacity club.
Yeah.
Still a small club compared to most of the European festivals and stuff that we do these days. But playing in a smaller venue is interesting because it's almost like the sound is going to push the walls. You know, that's what I'd like to see. It's the ceiling go off and shit, but it's not going to happen. I think there's a bit of a lack of low end in this venue. It's a bit bright. It's not very deep, but people will get to see us from very close, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be rock and roll.
Yeah, it's exciting. There was a great deal of material that you wrote for Magma that you eliminated. Will you ever release some of that material?
I think so. In a way or another, you know, maybe for the next record, we're going to use some of these songs and riffs and ideas. The reason why they're not on the record is because they were not good enough. Because we put the bar pretty high on this record.
Yeah.
You know, we had some ideas and visions for the record, and then the things we created were not quite there. It was not exactly the vision. So it became this other beast, this other entity that we're not expecting. So we had to deal with what was coming. And it's weird when you have a vision before a record. You want to create something that looks like that, sounds like that, and something happens and it's totally different. So you're like, oh, wait a second, I was not prepared for that. So that's what it is now. And so it takes a while. And again, I don't know if we want to use these songs in 2 years for a new record, because we will have other ideas and other stuff. So I don't know yet.
Yeah.
We'll see.
As a fan, I'm so curious about what that material is. So I'm sure people would be excited, as I would be, to hear that material. So you did a lot of talking while you were doing press for Magma about the risks that you took on the album with the changes in the band's sound. Now that you've had some time, the reception of the album, it has come out and fans have heard it. There's been tons of praise for it, obviously. But how do you feel about the risks that you took looking back now that you've had at least a few days or weeks?
You know, for me, it's not exactly a risk. It's more like we sometimes you have to force things a little bit to to be yourself. For example, you're in a situation in a room with people and you feel uncomfortable. There's something you should be saying, but you're not saying it.
Yeah.
Or you should just go home and someone is buy you a drink. Someone buys you a drink, but you know you shouldn't drink. You should go to bed because you're tired. Sometimes it takes some balls to say no, thank you, bye bye, I'm going. Sometimes it's easier to stick around and drink anyway and feel bad and feel shitty. You know what I mean? Or you should be saying something because you see something that's unfair, or you're not saying it. You know. To me, this album is just we had to do this and we did it. You know, we had to just had to do it. I had to sing the way I sang, and we had to do these songs and slow down a little bit and explore new things. And we did that. Therefore, we feel good today. We're happy. We go. Oh, okay. We did what we had to do. It's not something like, oh, wait a second, let's go there. It's going to be risky. It's a little different the way we feel, the way we perceive it, the way we go through all these things. It's really like it's our path, you know. We always try to be very careful where we're going. It needs to be our own path, our inner path.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. Following this, it's not exactly a risk, I would say.
Yeah. Is it interesting, you know, I think you said somewhere in the ballpark of 3 years working on the album. There was a lot of personal change in your life. You guys had kind of processed that and made the record. It's interesting to have the fans kind of catch up with you and discover where you're at by all the press and hearing the album. And
it's very interesting. It's very exciting. It's a great life. It's a great thing we're going through, and everything, touring and it's like dropping an album that everybody's waiting for. It's kind of, for me, it's exciting. I don't feel the pressure in a negative way. I feel the pressure in a positive way, and I'm a bit scared of what they're gonna think, but I don't care. I just to not care, you know, and stuff. And of course, when everybody's like, "Yeah, it's great," I'm like,
yeah.
But this time that we have more people that are a bit frustrated or unhappy, or they don't like the record. But I'm cool with that because I like the record. That's all. That's what I should concentrate on, and being happy with my own craft.
Absolutely.
And also we're on the same page in the band, which is fantastic, you know.
So as I mentioned, you've kind of been asked so many questions about Magma. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and ask you some other questions that I don't think you've been asked before. What is one French custom or tradition that you think Americans would benefit from adopting?
I was going to say sitting around the table to eat.
That's great.
I think that's, and very seriously, when I work on a project in France with French people, at some point, like, everybody lunch break. Yeah. And we all sit around the table and we talk and we have, you know, we eat and sometimes we drink. A lot of times we drink. And here, this is more like the plastic bag with a sandwich inside that you go grab, or I'm not hungry, I'll eat later, kind of thing. And people work, and there's something about it that I really love. But I like also the fact that, okay, let's sit around the table, and I installed that with my kids too. You know, I didn't lose that, and I think it's important. Yeah,
absolutely. You mentioned your kids. If any of your kids were to start a band when they grow up, what would be the first piece of advice that you would give them?
Well, if get a job. No, I would never say that. I don't know, man. They're too small for now. But I guess I would. I hope. I'm not going to be a shit dad. I hope I'm going to be a cool dad when they're teenagers and super annoying and shit. I hope I will know how to react to. Well, if they start a band, I'll be very comfortable and happy, and I will tell them to sing with their heart. Or if my son is a drummer, I'm like, beat that snare really strong, my son. Something like that.
Yeah, a lot of parents are like stereotypically kind of discourage kids from getting a drum set. Do you think you would do the same, or you would be like, would you like urge them to pick up the bass instead because you don't want the fucking racket of the drums? Or you wouldn't be that kind of dad?
No. I know already that I'm not that kind of dad. That if they go to something, I will do whatever is in my power to help them achieve what they want.
what is one step that most people could take to help the environment?
I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it.
Say it.
Quit meat.
Yes.
Quit dairy products.
Yes. Are you vegetarian?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it too much because people get annoyed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So maybe one first step is get informed. You know, like look on the internet, read books, watch documentaries, and see what's happening.
Yeah.
Watch Cowspiracy. It's easy. It's on Netflix. Cowspiracy is an excellent documentary, and I think that would be one first step.
Yeah.
It's a giant one because people are all about switching from gasoline to electric. Yeah, okay, I have to change my car. Yeah, no problem. But when it comes to their habits and their way of eating, feeding, you know, it's another level. It's deeper, and it's a bit difficult for people to even face the reality of things.
Yeah.
But it's according to a lot of people, it's the number one cause of destruction of the environment.
Yeah. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Too. During the course of your lifetime, what album have you listened to more than any other album?
Huh.
I've stumped you. You don't think, like, just a guess about sheer time that you've listened to one more, like, which one of you, not your favorite, but just which you've listened to the most, do you think? I know, that's a tough one.
It's a tough one. You know, I'm going to say Master of Puppets by Metallica. Or Ride the Lightning. I'm going to say Ride the Lightning. Ride the Lightning. I listened to that album even more.
Yeah. When do you think, just out of curiosity, was that like kind of in your 20s? Was there a period where you became obsessed with Metallica, or when?
I was 14. 14, yeah.
And that was like a breakthrough when you started to get to know that band in particular?
For me, it was life-changing, yeah. That album, Ride the Lightning. Because before that, I was playing piano, I was starting to play a bit of classical guitar, but I was into all kinds of music, classical, jazz, a lot of Michael Jackson, Beatles, Prince. You know, I was just like, whoa, turn on the radio. Whoa, wow, it's amazing. I'm going to record that. I had my tape, and I would record songs and then listen to them again. And I was so fascinated by music in general. And I didn't have a plan even to form a band. I just wanted to play instruments. But then my cousin was listening to Metallica all the time, and to me it was just noise. I didn't understand it at the time. But he kind of forced me to listen carefully, and it's funny. It's like what I was saying about meat. You know, eating meat. Like one day you get it and you just switch, and you, for example, you know, for people that take the step at some point, or change their ways, or start working out, lose a lot of weight, and become like, you know. And for me, discovering Metallica was a bit like that. Like something clicked for me, and all of a sudden, I wanted to be in a band. You know, I wanted to have a band. I wanted to recreate that energy, that exciting energy.
What is one musical skill that you don't have that you wish that you did have?
Singing in tune.
I would not have thought that you don't sing in tune.
No, I struggle. This music is very physical. I scream very loud. My in-ear pack, my monitors, you know, are very, very loud. And there's some physical thing happening, like the muscles of the ears are kind of shutting down a little bit when it's loud. And then you perceive the note in a different way. So sometimes I'm out of tune. It's very subtle, and sometimes it's not subtle. It's like completely out of tune. And I think I'm in tune. So when we film the shows, and then I watch after the show, I'm like, oh my God, it's horrible. Especially on the camcorder, because you get the vocals very loud. So I'm so jealous, you know, when I hear Devin Townsend, for example. Devin Townsend is like perfect all the time.
I wonder, and is that something that you feel more sensitive now that you're doing, like, to be simplistic about it, more singing, less screaming?
Yes,
Do you
yes,
find that you're more
definitely.
sensitive?
And the way I approach it also is now is a little more. I'm a little more picky, and I look back at how I was singing 10 years ago, and I hate it. You know, not on the albums. On the albums, it was different. You know, like it's in the studio. I can work, take my time, do word after word by word, even if I want. But live now, my goal is to really deliver something beautiful, and that's not hurting or. I don't have a voice, you know. I don't have like the organ, you know, that some singers have. You know, I have to really work at it to make it work and to make it sound good. So
I hear you. What is the most beautiful natural landscape or landmark that you've ever seen? Another one that's maybe like unfairly hard. For me, I think it's the Golden Gate Bridge. Personally, I just think it's the most beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Natural sight I've ever seen in my life. Grand Canyon, pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, I never really looked at the Grand Canyon. We drove by many times, but I was pretty blown away by the crater in not too far from the Grand Canyon. Meteor crater.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but
something
I know
crater.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, you know, the first thing that came to my mind is when I'm in a plane, when we're above the clouds. Sometimes you have landscapes. With clouds, and that is the thing that I really moves me the most, because it's very it's unique. It's going to be like that right now. In 5 minutes, it's different. And it's like
you mean the actual shapes of the clouds,
the
not
shapes of the clouds
below you. Yeah,
exactly. So it's not exactly a landscape.
No. I'm
but
just making sure I'm.
And sometimes the way the sun. As the light is oriented and stuff, it changes everything. I have memories of like intense emotions looking at the clouds and listening to music, and it's amazing.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I guess like the impermanence of those shapes. If you were in a band with Joe Duplantier instead of being Joe Duplantier, what do you think would annoy you most about Joe Duplantier?
Oh, dude. I don't know. He's so arrogant, and he's talking all the time. You know, he just keeps talking all the time.
Yeah, and you don't seem fucking arrogant to me, man. Not at all.
Thank you. But this Joe Duplantier guy sometimes gets really annoying because he's always so certain about things, you know, and he has ideas, and he gets really like obsessed with stuff, and it's kind of annoying.
Yeah. What was the first song you wrote with Mario? How old were you guys, and what was it called?
Okay, so the first song we wrote together, we jammed for maybe a couple years. We wrote a song called Victim. It was in 95. 96. Yeah, that year.
What do you remember the song? Like, how would you describe it?
It was technical death metal with very dark, very messy, very challenging.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do something, but we're not good enough. But we're really working. And that's how we became tight, by trying to do something that were a little too complicated, but we were very dedicated and excited. You know?
Was that Gojira, or did you guys have a different band name at the time?
It was Godzilla.
Oh, okay.
Godzilla.
Name one song or album that makes you wish you had written it.
Yes. Grace, Jeff Buckley. The whole album.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few covers in there, but this album.
Yeah. You talked about admiration for a certain kind of vocalist And yeah, he had one of the most amazing voices ever.
Incredible.
Yeah. You have extremely high standards for Gojira to perform at its highest capacity. Where does your drive for excellence come from? Have you always been that way, or was that something you learned along the way?
Yes, I was always that way, I think. But in school, I sucked. I wasn't paying attention. I was doing my drawings, doing my stuff. And I suffered a great deal in school also from, I don't know, it was not a great school. It was not a great area. People were a bit narrow-minded, I guess. And for a minute, I thought, maybe I'm just a piece of shit, you know? I'm not good, I can't function, and people keep telling me that I suck, you know? But then after school, I started to do music and paint and do all that stuff, and I was very inspired and boiling, you know?
Yeah.
And practicing, and I had my first band in high school, and I became like a dictator to these guys, you know? And I was never satisfied, I was never good enough and stuff. And then I started to play with Mario, I'm like, holy shit! And then he was never satisfied, he was never good enough. So it's like this competition between the both of us, and put us together in a rehearsal room, it's a nightmare.
So you guys still have that competitiveness?
I guess.
Has it evolved over the years? Has it changed?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Now we're a bit more, we're a bit softer.
Yeah.
And we realize that it's good to be hardworking, psychopath, but you could end up alone and sad.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you have to connect with people and just, okay, maybe that's not the most important, you know, perfection or whatever. You know, it's like sharing, like enjoying the moment also. And
also, you guys have accomplished so much. I wonder if there was a time where you thought, like, okay, we kind of can chill out a little bit, or like go easier on ourselves, or
yes. Well, you know, I don't feel that way. I feel like it's always the beginning. I feel we're studying to.
That's good.
You know.
Yeah.
I feel like we're gaining more experience. We're getting better, and we're still looking at this perfect album that we'll release one day. I hope it'll happen. I don't know. I don't need this anymore, really. I have kids now. I'm so happy, you know, and I found love, and I'm good. But it doesn't mean we're gonna be less picky. I think it's just we're a bit more satisfied, a bit less unsatisfied.
Yeah, that's good. Was there a experience or moment where you first fell in love with New York City?
Yeah.
What was that? Was that when you were young? Was it a movie? Like when was the first time you sort of realized that you had to move here? Or what was that first experience?
I was 6 or 7 years old. I was having dreams.
Really?
I was having dreams. I'm fascinated by the Statue of Liberty when I was just a kid. You know, I knew everything about the Statue of Liberty for some reason.
Had you seen that on TV, do you think? Or where had you learned about it?
Books.
Yeah.
I had a poster in my room, the Statue of Liberty. I was like lying in bed looking at it. I'm like, what a beauty. And that was kind of the first thing that, oh my God. And what it represented also, I wasn't quite sure, but I knew it was the Statue of Liberty. And I liked the idea of being free and liberty. It's a beautiful word.
Yeah.
And the spikes, I thought it was awesome and delicate and sophisticated. And at the same time really pure and beautiful. I loved everything about it, the symbol and the actual statue and this green thing, and that's when I was a kid. But definitely it was my first thing with New York. I knew that New York was the place where the Statue of Liberty was there to enlighten the world or something like that.
Do you remember what those dreams were or what they were like?
Yeah, I remember very clearly.
Were they...
I was running in the streets of Manhattan.
Wow.
And at the time, it was not Manhattan for me. It was just New York.
Yeah,
it
of
was
course.
New York. So I would see all these giant buildings with beautiful shapes and architectures, and I remember trying to figure out where I am, and I see bridges and buildings, and the Statue of Liberty is over there, and this and that, and I'm trying. And this is Central Park, and in my dream, I'm looking for something, a kind of a treasure or something.
Yeah.
And I dreamt about New York a lot. Sometimes like every night of the week.
Wow.
Like 7 times in a row, and I would go tell my mom, I dreamt about New York again. She's like, that's weird, and then when I was 20, and then I finally visited New York when I was a teenager, and because I have family here. I visited my uncle in Pennsylvania, and we would go to New York a little bit. And something clicked, confirmed, okay, it was not just, it was something like, I don't know, a past life or something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And when you first visited New York, did it match what's
Absolutely.
in New York in your head? Really?
It clicked. It clicked, and it was even better than I expected.
Yeah.
And I was just a kid. I was 13 first time I came here. And I felt the energy from the ground. I felt even the weather, like there was something, and there's a lot of craziness going on.
Yeah.
But I guess I need this craziness. It matches my own craziness or something like that. I don't know.
hear you, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you prepare for the show.
Cool.
Thank you so much for your time.
I really enjoyed this
fun.
interview. It was
Awesome.
cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I really appreciate that.
And you did ask questions that nobody else is asking. So that's
good.
that's cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening, and thank you to Gojira and their crew. Please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and check out the rest of my interviews at culturecreature.com or at facebook.com/culturecreaturemag. Cheers. Catch you next time.